Hello students, today we will be starting with a new chapter, Diversity in Living Organisms. Now, what is the meaning of diversity? Diversity means varied, large variety of living organisms, means of life. The various forms of life, which are tremendous, uncountable. So many have been discovered. Let us say about 15 lakhs species of animals have already been discovered. 3 lakh species of plants have been discovered. Innumerable bacteria, fungi, microorganisms, and there are still many more forms of life that exist. Now, if you just think of this great variety of living organisms, the study of these organisms will become very difficult unless there is some kind of a system of grouping these organisms based on the similarities and dissimilarities between them. That is the reason that classification came into force. Several people were trying to study, several scientists were trying to study, and finally they came to a system of grouping these organisms into different categories based on similarities and dissimilarities, and this is what is called classification. First and foremost, classification was needed to make the study of our living organisms easy, to establish some kind of phylogenetic and evolutionary relationship between their organisms, keeping the history of evolution in mind, then to find out about their origin and the genetic relationship that exists between the different groups. Then once all this information was collected, it became useful for all branches of biology. So classification is a very important thing. Now, to define classification, we say classification is the grouping of organisms into different categories based on similarities and dissimilarities among them. And this science of biology that helps to study organisms or the branch of biology that deals with classification is called taxonomy. So before I move on further, let us just summarize this. So the chapter is Diversity in Living Organisms. Diversity means variety or different forms of life. So, classification is grouping of organisms in different categories based on similarities and dissimilarities. This is how we define classification. Now, the branch of biology that deals with the study of classification is called taxonomy. Taxonomy is that branch of science or that branch of biology that deals with the study of organisms. And their classification, or we can say study of classification of organisms. I have already told you Classification is required to make the study of the diverse forms of life easy, to develop a relationship between origin and their genetics. The genetic and relationship and the origin of these organisms can be established. Then their evolutionary history and information that is collected based on similarities and dissimilarities will help all other branches of biology also, will provide information to all other branches of biology. Now, after this, we will move on to the history of classification. Now, history means the various scientists who worked on giving this system of grouping organisms based on their characters, similarities and dissimilarity. So history dates back to 300 BC. The first scientist was Aristotle. Aristotle grouped organisms into plants and animals, and his division of plants were those that were herbs, shrubs and trees, and for animals he said those that live on water, on land and in air. But he did not talk about unicellular forms of life, about prokaryotic forms of life. So his system of classification was not accepted. Then came Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus, he also divided organisms into plants and animals, and his work gave him the title of Father of Taxonomy. Later on, he even gave a system of naming living organisms. The scientific names of living organisms was given by him. He is even called the father of binomial nomenclature, because the name of a living organism had two parts. Bi means two parts, nomenclature means naming. Like he said, every organism has a scientific name. The first part of the name is genus and the second part of this name is species. That is the two giving two names. First name is genus followed by the species. Like for instance humans. Humans are called Homo sapiens. He even gave rules for it. Homo is the genus, sapiens is the species. He gave rules for this, that the first letter of the genus is always written in capital letters and the entire species is written in small letters. If it is printed, it has to be written in italics, and if it is handwritten, then the two parts of the name have to be underlined separately. So because of this, he is called the father of nomenclature. After that, Ernest Haeckel, he added the kingdom Protista in the system of classification. Finally, it was R.H. Whittaker whose classification was widely accepted and is still followed all over the world. He devised a system in which he divided living organisms into 5 kingdoms. And kingdom was supposed to be the highest category of classification. Kingdom is the highest category of classification. These categories are also called taxa, and singular of this is taxon. One category is taxon, group of categories is taxa. That is, taxa is a plural term. Kingdom is the highest category and species is the smallest unit of classification. I will explain. In all, there are 7 categories. There are 5 kingdoms and there are 7 categories of grouping organisms. So now we will come to the categories of classification. Important names in classification. You all must know about Carolus Linnaeus. He is called the father of binomial nomenclature and the father of taxonomy. And R.H. Whittaker finally gave a system of grouping organisms, of classifying organisms, which is accepted all over the world till today. Now we come to the categories of classification. As I just now told you, that kingdom is the highest category and the lowest category is the species. The lowest or the smallest unit of classification is the species, and kingdom is the highest category. Now, how do we define a species? Species are a group of related organisms which can interbreed among themselves to produce fertile offsprings. That is, if I take the example of human beings, there are so many countries in the world. People of different countries differ from each other. There are different races of human beings. Yet, marriage between two human beings from any part of the world produces fertile offsprings, means those children are also the next generation offspring that is produced are also capable of further reproduction. That is what is meant by interbreeding among themselves to produce fertile offsprings. So humans belong to one species, Homo sapiens. A group of closely related species makes up the next category, which is genus. Like in case of human beings, Homo is the genus and sapiens is the species. So this is just to explain to you that species is the smallest unit of classification, and to define species we say it is a group of closely related organisms that interbreed among themselves to produce fertile offsprings. Offsprings means the next generation which is capable of further reproduction. So, several closely related species make up the genus. Now, for this I will give you an example. We see crows all around. The crows that we find in plains are called the house crows. The crows that have grey neck and grey face and the rest body is black. They are house crows. Whereas the jungle crow or the hill crow is different. It is totally black in color. The shape of the beak is different. The two, jungle crow and house crow, belong to two different species, but they belong to because they are closely related, the two together make up one genus, and that genus is called Corvus for crow. Crow is the genus and species is different for both crows. So we can say that genus is a group of closely related species. Now, several genus make up a family. Same way, many families make up an order. Many orders make up a class, and several classes make up the phylum. So these are the 7 categories. This is the highest unit of classification. This is the smallest unit. Now coming back to genus. Several genus, or in plural we say genera. Many genera make up a family. Like let us take the example of the cat family. The cat family is called Felidae. Felidae is the cat family. But the genus cat family has got lion, has got tiger, and the simple domestic cats also, which are very different. So domestic cats belong to one genera, and these belong Panthera. They belong to a different genera, and several genera make up one family. Now several families make up an order. Like let us say the dog family, that is the dogs, the wolves. The cat family, that is lion, tiger, cats. Now the cat family is Felidae. Same way the dog family is Canidae. Why? Because their canines are very strong. They are animals that have very strong canines, and they belong to one order that is called Carnivora. Members of both the families are carnivorous in nature with very strong canines because they tear flesh. Their incisors also are very strong. They belong to the order Carnivora. Then several orders make up one class. Now, like we say, animals that are viviparous. Viviparous means those that give birth to young ones. Babies are produced. Now, in this, if we take the example of cow, cow also is a viviparous animal. Buffalo, monkeys, apes, very small rats and mice, rats, squirrels, and humans. They all produce babies. So they all have been placed in one class, which is Mammalia. They may belong to different orders. Dog and cat belong to Carnivora. They may belong to different orders, but they all belong to one class because of common characteristics between them. They have hair on their body, they have external ear, that is pinna, they are viviparous in nature, they have a 4-chambered heart, so they belong to one class, that is mammals or Mammalia. Several classes, that is from simple to complex, several classes make up the phylum. Broadly, we divide animals into two groups. Those that do not have a vertebral column, they are called non-chordates. Those that have a vertebral column are called vertebrates or chordates. So, together they make up one phylum. The chordates, those that have vertebral column, they have been placed in the phylum Chordata. In this, if we take the example of bony fishes, fishes that have bones, we take the example of frog, toad, we take the example of reptiles, snakes, lizards, we take the example of birds, pigeons, all birds, and we take the example of mammals, humans, dog, cow. They all belong to different groups, but together they have been placed in the phylum Chordata because they have a vertebral column. So, coming back, this is the hierarchy from top to bottom, from highest to lowest. This is the highest unit, this is the smallest unit. So, in all, as I said, there are 7 categories, or I told you it is called 7 taxa. Each is called a taxon. This is the category of classification. I repeat, highest is kingdom, next is phylum, then comes class, then comes order, then comes family, then comes genus, and then comes species. If we move from smallest to highest, this is the descending order. If we move to the ascending order, then smallest unit of classification is the species. Several species form a genus. Many genera form a family. Many families form an order. Many orders form a class. Many classes form a phylum. And many phyla form a kingdom. And as I told you, R.H. Whittaker proposed the system of classification which is called the 5 kingdom classification, that overall the various forms of life have been divided into 5 main kingdoms. So now I will tell you about the 5 kingdom class.